Had a very productive and interesting and scary night. Not that scary, but I figured out what the thing is. I figured out a couple things. Figured out that the keyboard, I'm not sure, I'm calling it the kitchen sink right now, because it just has everything. It was like an Arduino development platform keyboard. The keyboard has a LiPo battery, a lithium battery. It has battery charging, so like you can plug your phone into it and charge your phone's battery. It has, we'll go around visually, an OLED display, a rotary encoder, an Arduino Nano, which, you know, it could be whatever Arduino if you want. It has Arduino Nano. Oh, it has the charging circuit, which built into it, had the charging circuit. Built into it has a flashlight, a little LED light that you can turn on off the battery backup, because, you know, hey, why not? Carry around this stick of power that, I mean, you might as well have an LED on it. I guess it's good design. Anyways, a USB hub, which I haven't been able to fit in there just yet, but I will. And, oh, a computer. A Raspberry Pi 0W. So, yeah. The Raspberry Pi 0W has pad access for power and USB, you know, data plus minus. So, you can wire stuff to the Pi as like for like breakouts. So it looks like a bit of a rat's nest, and it kind of was. And everything went smoothly until some genius decided to make the red wire on a USB cable neutral, ground, and the white wire was power. So, and then some other genius decided to make an assumption and assume that the red was power and the white was neutral. So I fried the charge circuit and the boost converter. So there's no LED flashlight. That's a rip in pepperonis. Press F, pay respects. And then I was like, well, what about my Pi though? My Pi though. Because the first one I got was defective, and they're in the RMA process right now, replacing, send and replace. Kids love big machines. Guys over there pouring cement. And there's a lady with her like 1-year-old, 2-year-old kids on the opposite side of the street, and the 2-year-old girls, oh my gosh, it's the cement guy. This is so awesome. Mommy, are you taking a video of this? The Pi, I was like, all the power is shared on here, so why don't I Pi? If I plug in the Pi, then the Pi will turn on, and the Nano, because I wasn't sure what all got fried, because I basically reversed the polarity on the Nano and on the Pi, and that's it. I even had an indicator. I had a little USB connector, like the charge port connector, not for charging, but to like charge your phone. That connector, I had a female, type A, female, whatever. And I was like, all right, let's test it. And I turned it on, and I got the light, and the LED came on. I was like, okay. And then I switched it to power, and the LED came on, and I plugged in my USB wire or plug, and I put up the multimeter to the red and the black, and they were swapped. And I was like, oh man, I thought I tested this earlier. The black was this side and the red was that side. That's weird. Oh well, I guess I made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. I made an assumption. So I reversed the polarity on it and I tested it. I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's weird. But it's fixed now. Let's give it power. Flip the switch that turns power onto the Pi and the Nano. And then so that was at like 2 in the morning. And if you can't tell, I'm not the sleepiest. Sleepiest? I'm not the sleepest. Sleepsiest? The most sleeped. I'm not the most sleeped. That's not right either. You know what I mean. The sleepingest. But anywho, so this morning I was like thinking about that Pi. I was thinking about Pi this morning, and I was like, is it dead? And I went and I plugged it in. I'm like, it's not dead. And then it wouldn't post. It wouldn't light up. And I was like, it's dead. I've ruined it. The Nano seems fine, but who cares about the Nano? They're about tree fitty. Robust. Nano strong. The Raspberry Pi is like still connected to other stuff. I'm like, maybe something shorted and it's bridging, and oh man, I fried it. How did I fry it on 5 volts? This is crazy. And I started pulling stuff off of it and disconnecting it from the board, and then I just started picking the hot glue off of it. It was all hot glue because I'm like trying to plan this out, and I'm like, all right, so this is all going to be a circuit board, right? And like, this is going to be a separate base circuit board that all this stuff attaches to. And then I'm like, no. It needs to be on the inverted side of the Signum 3.1. Like, it's on the back side of the circuit board. That's where it needs to be. Like, I can do that. I got room for it. I don't have room for it. I can do it. But I just needed to make something. And I started just attaching stuff to the back of the circuit board, and then all this happened. And the Raspberry Pi. So I fried the SD card, which is no loss because that was a bad SD card. It was an old SD card. It was, you know, ripping pepperonis and all that. The poor guy there. Anyways. Yeah. But I switched the SD cards on it, and it started up, and I'm like, whoa. Oh, thank you, Lord. It's like a $5 computer, but I don't want to. You know, it's a $10 computer plus shipping. And still, you know, it's whatever. I don't want to ship. I don't want to RMA. I just want working hardware that I can play around with that isn't dead because I fried it. But on the plus side, all the soldering went pretty well. That was the only thing. I can't believe I checked polarity on the freaking USB cable. Who uses red for positive? It doesn't matter. Whatever. That was my... Today I was up too late. I was up too early. I was up too lurly. Lurly is now a word. That's my word now. Lurly. I just locked it. This is coffee. Hot coffee. Ooh, coffee. I did have a lot of coffee yesterday, though, so I don't know if it's going to have any effect. Yeah. My mouth said effect, but my brain thought impact, and it was very strange. My brain is very strange. Have you ever thought, like, this is super weird, but if you do like muscle memory, you type the password and your hand types the password, But you're like, I can't quite remember what my password is, and then your hands type the rest of it, and you hit enter, and it goes through, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you open a notepad and type it out so that you know what your password is. But I've had it so that, like, I start typing the password and I get confused, but my hands finish it, which is, like, neurologically makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is when I sit down and I think of a different password and I type out, I think of one password and I type another password and I hit enter and I go, oh, that's not the password for this. And then it works, which is like, I'm on a new level of ridiculousness. It makes no sense. There's a Raspberry Pi. There's a Jordan Peterson. I'm listening to his Maps of Meaning lectures, which is like 20 hours. And I'm on the 5th one, I think. And I've listened to clips and stuff like that, but he actually has, someone actually, he wasn't clipped. I didn't listen to a clip. The long form interview, at some point he was like, yeah, people keep clipping me. That's a bad idea. You should listen to the entire thing to get full context. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should. But he says, open people. And I did his personality test. It was worth the $10, and I hated the results like he predicted. But they were probably pretty right in a lot of ways, and it was, I'm like 99th percentile in openness, and like 5th percentile in conscientiousness, which I know either is my default setting and I work myself out of it, but like I do too much work to be 5th percentile or whatever. So I know I'm not really there, or maybe that's where I am or should be, but I'm not there because I work myself out of it. But he has this bit where he says, open people are very interesting to talk to, but it's hard for them to get their lives together because all of their brain connections are all their thought processes are all relational, and they're like a dreamer. And I'm like, ow. Hey, caffeine gum. Yeah, I gotta do that today. Coffee. Gotta work.